Hi, I'm Karen with Stitchin Heaven, and today I'm going to talk about the Quilt Smart grid. Now, there are many reasons you may want to use this grid and may not want to use this grid, but I find using this grid just keeps everything lined up and keeps it simple. Here's an example of how I use the grid to make just a simple little table runner, or you could frame this and make a baby blanket. But as you can see, by using the grid, every single intersection matches up, and I really didn't think about it. And then the back, all your seams nest, and it comes out beautiful and perfect. So step one is to make sure you get the glue facing up. So you can easily distinguish which side has the glue by simply feeling it. You can feel the glue. This is a bumpy side, and the reverse is a smooth side. So when you're going to place your fabrics on the grid, the rough side is up and the words are actually upside down. So as long as you're looking at the ugly side or the back side of this, you have your glue positioned correctly. Step number two is the fun part. This is the part that we all love, is just arranging the fabrics however you like to arrange your fabrics. This fabric is Kindred by One Canoe 2, and I just have a little charm pack, and I'm going to lay these out, and the amazing part is I'm just going to line it up with the dots on the grid. So for this demo, I am just going to quickly place these and show you how simple. After we sew, see these little X's? The X's marks the spot where we'll clip later. So we're just going to place these and then hit them with a hot iron. And by using this grid, it also, if you have to move from point to point, you're able to just pick up your wool mat and move if you need to. So you're going to arrange all your fabrics on the grid, and then for step number 3, you want to be sure to use your pressing cloth as to not ruin your iron and fuse into place. Now you want to obviously stay onto the fabric and not the glue, because it will adhere and they do stick really well. Ta-da! Now to finish step number 3, we are going to finish placing all of our pieces. So I'm going to finish placing all of these pieces and I'll be right back for step number 4. Step number 4 is the sewing portion. So as you can see now, I have these arranged nicely in little squares. Now, when I fold this over, it folds automatically right where I want it. And now I basically have a perfectly straight edge here on my sewing machine. So I'm moving to the sewing machine and we are going to start sewing. You want to use a 1/4 inch. We're going to speed up this machine a little bit. Okay, so that was my first short seam. And now what I'm going to do is just fold it over to the next short seam and sew straight down. Quarter-inch seam allowance. I'm using a 2.5 stitch length, just your standard stitch length. And I'm just sewing on the dotted line. By sewing it to this interfacing, or it's fused to the interfacing, it really keeps a straight quarter-inch seam allowance. It's just like a little helper tool. And for step 5, you are going to need your little handy dandy scissors. So on the back of our grid, you can see she has put X's. So that our seams, the first row we can press to the left, the second row we'll press to the right. We are going to snip on the X. Now when you're snipping, do not cut the seam you just sewed. You don't want to cut that. You want to stop right before. But if you get a little scissor happy and you accidentally cut that thread, all you have to do is just sew it again and then clip it again. So every intersection, every X, I'm clipping. Okay, and now for step 6, we are going to move to the iron. So we want our seams to nest. So row 1, we are going to press to the left. Now, we're going to press this seam to the next. Now, when I move to row 2, I want to press to my right. So to do that, the easiest way to do that is, I should have trimmed that, to fold that under. Now row 1 went to my left. Row 2, I'm going to push to my right. Pressed row 2 to the right. I'm going to unpress those. Now on to row 3, it's going to go back to the left. And once I sew the long seams, which is the next step, step 7, you will see that all of these seams will go left, right, and I don't have to worry. So now for step 7, we go back to the sewing machine. And this time we're going to sew all of our long seams. Now you have to mind these seams so that they're going to do what you want them to do, because you can see that this one is going to the right and this one is going to the left. And there you go. You see how every intersection, it just comes out perfect, and it's so easy. Now these, we want to make sure our seams are going the right way. We have this seam coming down and this seam is going up. That is going to make sure that our seams nest when we're finished. I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of pressing seams open. I prefer to have them pressed to one side or the other. But there's no quilt police, so you guys do what you want. I'm always worried about them breaking when they're pressed open. I am going to finish sewing these seams really fast, and I'll meet you right back for step number 8. once all of the long seams are sewn, we are going to go back over to the ironing board for the last step. And now is where all of the seams are perfectly aligned. Can you see that? So the last step, and this is the easiest ironing you do, is just press. And all of your intersections come out perfect. I will show you momentarily. Now, for the finished, look at how beautiful it comes out. Now, just some ideas that I wanted to give you is here's where I've used the grid, and you can frame it for baby blankets, for table runners. It just makes everything line up perfectly. It takes the guesswork out of lining up seams. Because it comes on a panel form, if you need to move your stuff, it's easily portable. I've used it here as well. This is a t-shirt quilt that I made for my niece, and I just use it around the border wherever I need it. Next time, I'm going to skip the interfacing section, and I am going to try to make a t-shirt quilt all on this without having to interface the t-shirts prior to. Thank you for joining me on this tutorial. I hope you used what I showed you. There's so much you can do with it. This was my first tutorial, but if you'd like to see more, check out our YouTube channel, and we'll see you there. Bye-bye.